Shalom. Before I begin, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Akak, the bonus to the apostles and elders, great millstone, and Shalom said, I am teaching this word throughout the four corners in true sincerity. I'm back with another lesson. All right, through the spirit by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, the Lord, when it's edifying unto the elect of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. All right, the true name of God is Yahweh, which means He is or He exists. All right, it's Yahweh. Okay, Yahweh. And the name of His Son is Yahweh Shai. It's not Yeshua. All right, it's not Jesus Christ. That's not His name. All right, it's Yahweh Shai, which means He saves. Okay, and that's exactly what He's going to do when He returns. All right, a second time, as He did the first time. Save us, not in a spiritual sense, but spiritual in a physical sense. All right, because He did the spiritual by giving His life. All right, for Israel, starting with the elect. All right, dying for our sins. All right, giving us a grace period and redeeming us back to Yahweh, to Yahweh. All right, so the second time, Yahushua is going to deliver us from this captivity. All right, but while we're here, the Lord has caused a series of events to happen. All right, so we can be delivered. All right, starting with setting up the right teachers, our apostles and elders. All right, building them up. All right, with the wisdom and knowledge. Okay, and then having really starting with Abba Bivens, which was Elijah in the late 60s. Then we had our apostles and elders, and then building them up to with this wisdom and knowledge, and then having the YouTube come out, and then having His words spread forth like a wildfire. Like Ezekiel 37 says, how those dry bones, all right, will wake up and live and receive the Spirit, basically be awoken, back, to the truth. And that's been happening, again, since the late 60s until now. The Lord has been, causing everything to go in our favor, all right? And it's really starting with this truth. Okay, and now as we're being built up, even now, our faith is being built up, okay? We are very, grateful and thankful for this truth. All right. And you may ask, what is the purpose? Like, what is the end goal? All right. To ultimately, again, be delivered. All right. See America be destroyed, by multiple, nuclear, warheads. That is the end goal, to be saved, to endure to the end. All right. And we are not scared. We're not fearful. All right. Because we have a positive, attitude towards these things. All right, no matter what trial gets thrown our way, no matter what, bullshit comes our way, we must and we will overcome, all things. Okay? When you search up the word overcome, it means to succeed, all right, in dealing with, basically anything, all right? And that's exactly what is going to happen. And when we succeed, we're going to receive, things unimaginable. All right, these are things that we have to meditate on. All right, the promises made, all right, to us. All right, it's going to be beautiful. All right, all the things that we go through now in our daily life, it's really just bullshit. The things that we're going to receive. All right, because the scriptures tell us in 1 Corinthians 2:9, it says, but as it is written, I had not seen nor heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which the Most High had prepared for them that love Him. So the things that we're about to receive, that the Lord promised us, started with the elect, and even as a nation, all right, it's going to be so beautiful. Things that we don't even know, all right? We just know that there's things that the Lord has prepared for us specifically, the elect, all right? Because we not all gonna get the same thing, because we not all the same spirit, all right? We not all the same person, but we know we all got certain things selectively gifted to us that the Lord knows that we're gonna like. All right. Okay. When you go to John 14, right? John 14 and start at 1. It says, "Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in the Most, I believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also." So Again, all right, we all know what those mansions are talking about. Those different planets, all right, those billions, and my mind will put a number on it. The innumerable amount of planets and galaxies that Esau be talking about, and that are so far beyond reach. Those are for us. Those are for us. All right, that the Yahweh Shai prepared, all right, for us, and He's gonna come, return, all right, and save us and show us these different things. Like, this is what I have for you. But before we get those things, we must overcome. Okay, and it's even more than just the planet. It's the servants and handmaids that we're gonna receive. All right, that's promised. Okay, because we are gonna be joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. All right, this is Revelation 2 and start at 25. It says, but that which ye have already hold fast till I come. All right, what is this talking about? All right, this truth. All right, we have this truth. This is what we have to hold on to. All right, because there's nothing in this world that can offer what the Lord is going to offer us. Nothing. All right, new bodies. All right, planets. All right, being righteous forever. Okay. All right, just living in peace, not worrying about, the curse is being off of us. Everything that we go through now just being done. All this shit that we go through just being done away with and more. 100 times more. All right, because we serve Yahweh Shai. And that's how you have to hold on. It says, and he that overcometh. All right, so we have to overcome. So there's going to be certain things that we're going to go through, all right, in this life, right, that we are going to need to overcome. Okay? You're going to that word overcome. It means to reach, overtake, move, or pass over. It says to conquer, to prevail over, to defeat in combat, says the devil. And that can symbolize Esau, Edom, right? The evil spirits, things that we go through on our daily basis, that we have to go against, all right? Whether it be in your mind, whether it be people, right? Because people be having spirits on them. It says sin, right? And we're going to overcome that as well. All right, it says temptation, and that we constantly, overcome. All right, and we doing it, while being in His truth. Certain things that used to tempt us, don't tempt us anymore. The worldly things, it doesn't tempt us anymore. Whether it was trying to be famous or trying to be a basketball player, whatever it was, it doesn't tempt us anymore. All right, it's done away with. It says, in reference to mental or chemical force, to overwhelm, render helpless. It says to surmount a difficulty or obstacle, succeed, be successful. And that's exactly what we're going to be. We're going to be successful in Yahweh Shai by overcoming these different obstacles, right? And it says the civil rights anthem, we shall overcome. And we are. Lo, only part of the elect, we will overcome, Akim. And Akwaf, we will overcome the things that we go through. And it says, 1950s, from the lyrics of Charles Tinley's spiritual, I'll overcome someday. All right, and it's not just, one time, but we're constantly, overcoming the things that we go through, right? The different trials and tribulations. Okay. It says, and he that overcometh, Revelation 2 and 26, and he that overcometh and keeping my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father, and I will give him the morning star. So you see, so as long as we overcome, right? When we overcome, okay, when we overcome the MOTB, when we overcome, this system, this wicked society, we're going to receive what? Our power over the nations, to rule the nations, to have them as slaves, okay? Because what does it mean to rule with a rod of iron? All right, who are you ruling over? All right. You have to ask yourself these questions, okay? Because having slaves is in the Bible, all right? Just a quick precept, right? In Isaiah 14, it says, for the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel. So Jacob, all right, we understand that his name was changed to Israel, okay? So the Lord is saying that he's going to have mercy on us. All right. As a nation, okay? It says, and set them in their own land, Israel. All right, because those people, those small hat, long nose, all right, Goldilocks demons that are in the land now. All right, those are not the true chosen people. Those are not the true Jews. All right, it says, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Right, those that were once lost, right, that didn't know the truth, now are calling themselves Israelites. In this time, right, and they're called strangers because, all right, Jacob scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and they don't know, or they used to not know who they were, or who they are. All right, but now we have, brothers throughout the four corners, sisters calling themselves Judah, Levi, all right, Benjamin, all right, our true biblical nationalities, all right. And it says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. All right, there you go, that ruling. All right, having servants and handmaids. Okay, they're going to serve us. All right, and then we're going to rule over them. Who's our oppressor? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right, and these different nations that are also, joined hand in hand with him. All right, and it says, and that shall come to pass, and that in the day that the Lord Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. So, rest. All right, from this hard bondage, having to work 2-3 jobs, having to do extra, curricular activities just to make ends meet. We don't got to go through this shit no more. All right. But true rest, not even just physically, all right, mentally and spiritually. We don't got to deal with, Satan coming into your mind and, all right, you thinking some shit, all right. You don't got to be with waking up and just, stressing. You don't got to deal with that. All right. Even physically, you don't got to deal with, if you have an ailment. All right. You got to deal with, your back being fucked up or, be just being weak. You don't got to deal with that. You don't got to deal with waking up and feeling tired. All right. That's true rest. Okay. You don't got to wake up and having to go to work. All right. When you don't want to, but you got to. All right. That's rest. Okay. But all these things are going to come. All right. In due time, as long as we overcome, all right, these different obstacles that we have to go through, all right, and really, talking about the elect, because all Israel's not going to get saved, only a portion, all right, yeah, all Israel's going to be in the kingdom, but, when them nukes go out, when them nukes come, all right, from these different nations to touch down on America, all right, only a certain amount of people are going to get delivered. Okay, but as the scripture saith in Acts 14:22, it says, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, right? Because that's what we got to do on a daily basis, exhort each other, all right? And that we, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of the Most High. So it's a constant, overcoming, right? Of tribulations that we got to go through, all right, to enter into the kingdom. This is not no easy walk. This is the straight gate. All right, the straight gate is not just it's not the wide path. It's not comfortable. All right, you go suffer. All right, you go be broke. All right, you got people fucking with you for no reason. All right, that's just the name of the game. All right, but with that low one is less was edified. Don't give our praises to Yahweh. Bashem Shah, Bashem Chakwa, and the bonus to the apostles, and the elders, great millstone, and Shalom that I came teaching his word throughout the four corners in true sincerity. I came in was out of Shalom.